All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of AV Club. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out and hang out with us here live on Twitch. If this is your first time here, it is a monthly podcast that we do here where I give you one movie to watch on your own. The only catch is that it has to be streamable, so a movie that you see either on Netflix or on Prime Video, which was the case for this month. And then we get together and talk about it, and also talk about TV shows or movies that we've been watching since last month, and just kind of nerd out about it, because I love TV and movies, and a few of our guests, I think, enjoy it as well, too. So, if this is your...
movie?
What's a movie? What's that? I don't know what a movie is. Is that one of them?
Talkies?
Is that one of them zoetropes? I don't know what that is. Well, guys, if it's your first time here, my name is Captain McFly. I kind of put this together a little bit a couple months ago, just because I thought it'd be something fun. And joining me again, this is everybody's, second time, I guess. Well, Mega, this is like your third or fourth. This is your third time?
Baby. The three-time champion.
Three-time!
All right.
The most, I think the most returned guest, so we haven't totally terrified you.
I've been on more than you, I'm pretty sure.
I think so. I think that's right. Well, Mega, again, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. I do know that your spousal unit is due quite soon with the first baby in the Mega house.
Yes. The first of my horde is almost upon us. Gonna start an army.
An early congratulations.
Thank you.
I hope it goes well for you. It'll be the craziest day of your life. It's gonna feel like the slowest and fastest moment ever, as someone that went through it not too long ago. But you'll get through it. You're gonna have fun.
This is my distraction. All right, we don't need to talk about this. This is how I distract myself from the impending doom, baby.
Right. All right, and so joining us again, also Sjones. Thank you so much for coming back with us.
Hi.
And then finally making a long-awaited return, Zombi. Thank you so much for coming back, Zombi. It's good to see you.
What's up?
Glad to see you. Good to see your face, too. Welcome.
Thanks.
Well, guys, this month our film of choice was Logan Lucky. But before we get to that, what have you guys been watching the past month? What have you guys been watching? Anything fun? Anything new? Anything exciting? New TV shows? Mega, we'll start with you.
Starting with me, I feel so honored.
Well, I know, right?
I saw a little film that recently came out. It's an independent film. It was called Black Panther.
Oh, I think I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's pretty underground.
Sounds familiar.
It's an underground film. Not a lot of people have seen it. It's pretty good. It's okay. I don't love it as much as everyone else does. I don't think it's the far and away better than every other Marvel movie, but every other Marvel movie is pretty good. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was pretty good. It has a better villain than a lot of the other Marvel movies, I would say. But that could just be because Michael B. Jordan is an incredible actor is he bad in anything? Have you ever seen him be bad in anything that he's in?
Not really, no. The guy is kind of wonderful.
Exactly. So he automatically just has so much charisma on screen that I'm into this villain. I'm sold on it. Mm-hmm. I thought the movie was decent story, great characters that were well established, really good world that it built in there. Wakanda as a world is really cool, but I thought the cinematography and the CGI especially was pretty lackluster in the movie, and that's not normally something I notice, but I don't know. Yeah,
I thought some of the CG was all right. I did some of the ways that the composition, I agree with you, was a little bit different in the sense that it's not, I think, what we have come to expect from Marvel films as of late, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we got to start to see that with Ragnarok, is a lot of the films are starting to kind of establish their own identity a little bit more, and not so much cookie cutter. Yes, this is obviously shepherded by one unified vision. It's more people are starting getting a chance to maybe have their own spin, more so than just small sensibilities, maybe more so now down to aesthetics, or maybe getting a little bit, now Marvel's feeling a little more comfortable. They've kind of already had their home runs, and maybe they're starting to give their directors a little bit more freedom. I don't know.
There were just a few parts, anytime they were talking to deceased people, ancestors, when he was in kind of that weird African
Yeah, the
Lion King
ancestral
scene.
realm.
It looks super green screeny and just kind of bad to me. Like, it just didn't look good.
Yeah.
And whenever they were like two people in costumes fighting, it looked like not human movements.
Yeah.
I think for me, the only reason I was let down by that is because I was like, all right, Creed, same director, was like amazing the way it looked. I thought it had like that amazing fight scene where it's one take the entire fight scene in Creed, and I was like, oh, I'm expecting something like that. You know? Like, that's what I was hoping for, and then it was just kind of like, it was okay. It wasn't a bad movie. I did really enjoy it. I just was like, because it was like the highest reviewed movie ever for a Marvel movie, I think I went in with some higher expectations than any movie could really deliver on reasonably, you know?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I saw it last night, so it's still pretty fresh for me. And we'll probably do a bonus episode about it just because we did one for Thor Ragnarok. I feel like now we have to do one for Black Panther too. I did enjoy it.
Avengers.
Yeah, and then Avengers, yeah, which is coming out pretty soon too. Very excited about
I
that.
can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. But I think it is one of the better, like, first installments of the first time, you know, getting a chance with the hero.
I could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
On paper, it's like the same as all the other ones. It's like, here's your hero, here's your villain. That's just literally the opposite of your hero in terms of design, but it works better than a lot of the other ones do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And it was one of those where the world building was better, and I think they got to have the benefit of a lot of other movies going before it to kind of get a good sense of what works, what doesn't. You know, with the first Thor movie, there wasn't much establishing with Asgard and that world, and they've kind of been playing catch up to kind of flesh that out a little bit. And kind of the same with Captain America as well. You know, there's a lot going on, but it still feels awfully small at the same time. This one felt a little bit more lived in. Wakanda felt like a real place. And we won't go into Black Panther too much. We're going to go about it probably a lot deeper on another show. But this isn't spoiling too much. These are just kind of initial impressions. But I did enjoy Michael B. Jordan. I thought he was a good villain and also quite topical. You know, like in terms of, and I think that's one of the good things this movie does is like what most sci-fi movies do. And even though this isn't sci-fi, but, you know, this is what movies can do is, you know, a lot of commentary on social issues or, you know, social strife or things that are of the time. And I think they handled that well, tastefully, and not, you know, overly one way or not underrepresented in the other. I think it was a great balance. And I think it made for a compelling villain that you can kind of empathize a little bit with. I mean, to the extreme that he wanted to, you know, take out his anger was a bit extreme. The amount of people that he killed to get there. It's like, you maybe need a couple hugs, but
his core idea was one that we could kind of get behind. He just wanted, to go a little far with it, I'd say, for sure. Yeah. Other than that, I don't think I've been watching a lot of movies. Sorry about that noise. That's my cats deciding to attack each other right now.
Stinking cats!
I know. Cats are the worst.
Worst cats.
Yeah. I don't think this is the podcast to discuss episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race, so I think
I'm down.
I don't know.
I love that show. Okay.
What is that show? I've never heard of it. What is it?
The best reality television
yeah.
show ever made.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
What is it? Fantastic.
It's sort of the, I don't have a good way to describe it. It's like the America's Next Top Model of drag, is the best way I could.
Yeah, that's pretty. So, you know, it's pretty accurate.
Just men doing drag and who is the best at it.
Nice.
So fashion, entertainment value, like all aspects of drag. It'll really suck you in if you start watching it. I thought I would hate it, but it's like all the wife and I have watched for like a month now. So
would you say this qualifies as a guilty pleasure?
I'm not ashamed of anything. I have no shame, so I don't feel guilty for it, but it's certainly not the highbrow entertainment that I would like to come and discuss here. Let's put it that way.
Good deal.
I wish I could tell you I was watching like art house films or something, but no, I'm just watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
I wish I could say that too, but maybe not. I haven't been watching many crazy stuff like that. or not crazy stuff like that, but I haven't been really diving into too much myself either. To kind of prepare for this month, I decided to kind of revisit a lot of Soderbergh's stuff. So I watched all the Ocean's movies. I didn't get a chance to make it to Traffic. I wanted to, but really I just made it through Ocean's, 11, 12, and 13, and I think it serves as a pretty good comparison for this movie.
I'm sure we'll be talking about them a lot in this discussion.
Exactly, and I think it'll be an interesting comparison because there's a lot of similarities and a lot of good things and a lot of like, dude, you've done this before. But at the same time, it's still Logan Lucky was still a great movie. I loved it a lot, and honestly, too, I think the reason why I ended up picking it was when I was looking for movies that were coming. You gave it some pretty good praise back around when we were talking about Gremlins, Mega. I think it's when you mentioned talking about it, and I was like, that sounds kind of awesome. And one of the guys I used to work with talked about it too. I'm like, I need to give this a shot. Watched the trailer, and I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. This is great. I got Channing Tatum and Adam Driver acting like a bunch of hillbillies, and they're going to go steal stuff? Sweet. I'm in. Let's do it.
Now save it.
Swallow Red.
We have to hear what the others have been watching. We can't discuss that yet.
Yes. And then, and I also got to finally see Valerian, the Luc Besson movie. You guys don't know?
I enjoyed that.
Yeah?
I liked it. It was a little out there, but I like most of Luc Besson's movies. I've seen quite a few of them.
Yeah, and honestly, this is if you don't know who Luc Besson is, if you haven't seen Fifth Element, that's a great baseline for kind of how he is. And
Truth.
Just in character design, color, wacky, but I think this is the movie that Luc Besson, I think, just needed technology to catch up with his mind a little bit, because I think
I agree.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the world building, especially, I think the best example is the market. This doesn't spoil anything, but it's a very early scene within the film, and the idea is this is in the very distant future, and where there's a lot of trade and a lot of diplomatic stuff going on with different races around the galaxy, and there is a central market, which is basically, think like any, stereotypical like farmer's market from all the different corners of the world, slam them together, make it like 1,000 stories tall, and the way you can enter this place anywhere in the galaxy is you put on a VR headset and a helmet, and then you virtually enter in this gate, and everybody can see you. You can buy things and walk around, and you see everybody's store around the world, but you're in a desert is where they are. It's just a vacant desert. So if you don't have the visor on, it's just sand. But as you walk around, you're virtually moving around in the space, and then when you buy things, you put it through like this metal detector which then transports it to your dimension, and then you can take it home with you. It's a really high concept thing, but when you see it happening, it's like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's such a cool
it was
idea.
amazing. Yeah, I loved that movie.
I did too. My only con is the way the dialogue was written versus the actors delivering the lines, like Valerian and Laureline, the two main characters, look like they're in their young 20s, but the dialogue sounds like it should be delivered by somebody that's in their 30s or their 40s. I don't know. It was almost, the dialogue was too mature for who was saying it. That's like my only con, really. Other than that, it's a lot of character, and you kind of need to be okay with seeing some very bizarre CG and world building. But if you're cool with sci-fi and very complex ideas, if that sounds like a fun thing for you, like if you like unique stories, unique characters, and just fun worlds that are just cool to explore, then I'd recommend Valerian. I'd say check it out. It's very fun, and I can't praise it enough it was a visual feast for me, and I loved it. It
was beautiful. I agree.
Yeah. It's not going to be the greatest film you see, but I think it's totally worth a watch. And if you liked Fifth Element, you'll probably like Valerian a pretty good amount as well. There's
if you didn't like Fifth Element, why? What's wrong with you? How could you not? Sorry.
Well, I mean, some people didn't like it. Some people don't like it. My wife didn't care for it, but she also saw it a lot later.
What?
Well, I think it's one of those things that it depends when you see it.
Yes.
I think.
I guess that's true.
It did not age very well.
You're right, but the characters are so much fun in that movie.
They are, and that's still that's in Valerian as well. I mean, you'll see. It's still, you could very much see that that Luc Besson has kept kind of the same sensibilities through the decades, and so you can see that in Valerian as well. So if you like Fifth Element, you'll most likely like Valerian as well.
I need to check it out then. That's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing.
Yes. I think you would like it a lot, honestly, Mega. I think you would. I think you'd like it a whole lot. But that's kind of what I've been watching. Not really doing too many TV shows lately. You know, having a baby kind of changes things. But as you will see, it's more so like you end up watching them in shifts. Like when we watched the Oceans movies, it took us what would be like a couple hours, took us about 4.
Oh,
It just break things up. So like that tore me at my core because it's like, no, when you do a movie, you don't get up. You sit and you finish it.
You're dedicated to that film. Yes.
Yes.
You surrender yourself.
And yeah, I've had to slowly let that go. It's okay though. I'm cool with it. He's worth it. But yeah, that's what I've been watching. Jonesy, what have you been watching?
I watched a lot of Third Rock from the Sun recently.
Mm-hmm.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and his youth.
Yes,
yes.
a youthful Levitt.
Oh, he is still youthful. Let's just get that straight.
He is a pretty handsome dude. I would maybe.
Let's just say that childhood crush is not going away anytime soon.
He's aged well, that's for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's not even in his late 30s yet, I don't think. He's only a couple years older than I am, I think. So he's like mid 30s right now.
Oh, okay. Man, that makes me feel terrible about myself.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I'm kind of up in season 6 of that, but I haven't watched it in a little while. I've watched The Rings, like the latest installment of the Rings series.
Like the one where you watch the movie and a creature comes to kill you?
Yeah, it's the latest installment of that though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
About as dumb as it could be expected.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've recently started Altered Carbon.
Everybody has told me to watch that. So how is that?
How is Altered Carbon? I'm curious. I'm very curious.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's based on a book or a book series.
Okay.
However, there is a lot of nudity. Like think first season Game of Thrones and like every single episode. So there's nudity in every single episode. It's just there. You can't.
Is the
Oh
nudity important
Mostly
to the
women.
storytelling? That's all I want to know.
Because
a lot of the times, I feel like nudity is overused in a lot of like shows. But then there's stuff like Westworld where I feel like the nudity has a really important purpose to the characters.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the same with like being like
if you
profane
go
for the
through
sake of
certain
being
plot
profane.
points.
Mm-hmm. Is it done just for shock value, or does it seem like there's
I don't think there's much to the shock value. There's more, I think, shock value in some of the story points than there is in what's actually like the nudity part. So
gotcha.
Okay. So it's very interesting.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what's the rough premise of Altered?
Yeah. If you had to sum it up,
So,
like the quick elevator pitch.
Okay. It's in the far, far future. People have these implants that are put in them at the base of their skull.
Okay.
So the top of their neck, called stacks, and that holds all your consciousness, like your conscious memories, and basically like a soul.
It's you. Okay.
Okay. So you can take these stacks when you die, as long as the stacks are not damaged, you can re-put them into a different human body, which they call a sleeve. So like you can die and they can be inputted into someone else's body, but you're still yourself, just in a different body.
So it's kind of like immortality. You're just inheriting a new body.
Yes.
It's kind of like it sounds like it'd be the opposite of Dollhouse, in that like Dollhouse is one actress playing a bunch of characters. This would be multiple actors playing one character.
And you get to see the whole side of like there is like a morality kind of debate within the show of whether it's right to move your stack from person to person, and like some people have elected not to do that, so when they die they don't want to be like moved on to another.
Here's
like
my question.
re-sleeved.
So everybody knows about these stacks, right?
Yes.
So if I
Yes.
kill someone, why don't I just shoot the stack too? Why don't I just
You
break it?
can.
Okay.
That is when you die, like that's a final death is when you like shoot this, like you destroy the stack.
Okay.
So
Okay. Interesting.
it's very interesting. So
Huh. I might have
that's
to check
about
it
it.
out. I might have to
Otherwise,
check
I've
it
been
out.
doing a lot of reading and not so much watching anything.
Gotcha. Well, Zombie, what have you been watching lately?
Black Mirror, which is amazing. If you haven't seen it, you should. I can't give you a quick premise because
I've heard about an
that's
episode
not
with a pig.
possible. That's the very first episode. But the episodes don't tie in together. There are some themes and music that go throughout all the episodes, but for the most part, every episode is its own story.
Okay.
And we have yet to find one we didn't really like.
Okay.
I think we're on the last season right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think so far my favorite episode is one called White Bear, and it's one of those shows. Yeah, it's one of those shows that it never goes where you think it's going to go. It always goes the exact opposite way.
So very much kind of like Twilight Zone, but maybe a little bit more dark.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Just a very dark Twilight Zone.
But it's amazing. I love it. Chud and I have been really enjoying it. I think we only have like 2 episodes left after the one we're on.
Oh, jeez. Very nice.
It's really good.
Episodes of that show, and like I want to watch more, but it was like, man, this is too heavy to binge.
Yeah,
like,
you
I was like,
can't.
I
Yeah,
can't.
no, it is.
Show.
It's very intense, and I have more than once just gone under a blanket because I'm like, it's too much right now. I can't take it. But it's really good for the most part. It's really, really good.
Awesome. That's good. I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and it's one of those things because I've heard how intense it can be. I am reluctant to start it because it's just like, I don't know if I want to put myself through the ringer just yet. You know, like, is it one of those things like, do you think you finally have to like psych yourself up for it to get a chance to watch it, or?
No, it's one of those things where usually the episodes start off okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna come to like usually it's a point about middle to like 3rd act of the episode that you're just like, what? And then it kind of tapers off at the end and it's not so bad. And then you're like, okay, I'm good. I can watch another one. Like, that's how it is for me. Like, it's usually like the middle of the episode where I'm just like, okay, I think I need to like go to the bathroom and maybe have a drink of water, and then we'll come back and finish it. But it's phenomenal. The storytelling is amazing. The actors are amazing. The cinematography is absolutely gorgeous, and you get so many different settings. And I think that's what I really like, because I'm a sucker for anything that's got a nice background.
Fun fact. One of the guys, what character did he play? He played the one of the characters in Black Panther, the guy with the rhinos.
Yeah,
he was in an
yeah,
episode of Black.
He's in the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
He's in
cool.
the
I
last
like
one
that
that
guy.
I watched. Yeah.
Cool.
He's
Which
also
is
in Get
also
Out.
in
He's the main
yes,
character
he's the
in
main
that.
character in Get Out.
Got it.
Shuri,
That's where I recognize
T'Challa's
him
little
from.
sister.
I was like, I know this guy.
Yeah.
T'Challa's little sister's in an episode 2, but I haven't gotten to it yet. It's at the end of the season I'm on now. But she's in an
I
episode
think
2.
I just realized what episode it was.
I think it's the last
Black
episode.
Museum.
Yeah, it's the
Oh,
last
that's
episode. I haven't
awesome.
seen that one yet.
That episode was my favorite, I think, out of the entire series so far.
Very
So
cool. Swoop is
very
saying
good.
too, the Swoop in chat saying the music is pretty good as well.
The music,
Yeah.
Seriously, the interlocking musical themes they use for the whole show are fantastic. They do a really good job of keeping that going through the whole thing.
Nice.
And then I watched the Cloverfield Paradox,
Oh yeah.
which
watched that
I
too.
know got a lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoyed it.
I personally enjoyed it as well. Mega or Jones, did you guys get a chance to see Cloverfield Paradox? No.
I didn't watch the first Cloverfield, so nope, not gonna pop
Oh,
It's
so
original
good.
Cloverfield when it came out. Like, I thought that movie was so awesome, but I never saw the second one, the Cloverfield Lane. Which is
Oh,
like,
you should see.
that's the
Oh,
one
you
everyone
have to
says is
see
really
that.
good, right?
If-
Which is why
if for
I was
nothing
I don't want to
else-
see the one that's bad before I see the one that's good, or that's why I
John
didn't watch it.
Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of the best performances I've ever seen.
And
Yeah.
I love John Goodman, so
Then
Honestly,
you will love it.
This is John Goodman, I think, at his best.
I agree.
It is incredibly well done. I can't endorse 10 Cloverfield Lane enough. I think what I rated
Yeah,
on
me
movies that
neither.
year, it was one of my top 3.
I'm also avoiding the first one because I know the camera work, and that just doesn't bode well with me.
Fair enough. That's fair.
So I'm not even.
I love that.
I thought it was
Not
really
gonna take offense
cool,
to that.
but
I think
haven't
it's a
seen
great
it since I saw it in
concept, but I
theaters.
can't do it. Like physically, that's not gonna happen for me.
Then I bet you've never seen Hardcore Henry, have you?
Hardcore.
We're gonna say no.
I was curious because I wanted to see just the idea of a POV movie, but at the same time,
it
it's like
made
I
me
don't want to.
so
I don't want
nauseous.
to throw up.
Yeah, it made my Chud loved it, and it just I'm like halfway through, I'm like I can't pay attention to this anymore.
I couldn't make
I'm
it through
gonna
the
throw up.
trailers, just how it looked. I was like, no.
Like,
mm-mm.
The thing is the story itself is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it's got a decent story, but
I mean,
the
it's got Charlton Copley in it, and I tend to like him in most things. The guy from not 10
District 9.
District 9, yeah. You got the South African accent. South African. A very interesting accent.
is.
But yeah, honestly, Cloverfield Paradox was fun. I do like the I don't know, it's more so like I like discussing the movie more so than I think I liked the movie itself because it's very heady. Very heady.
Oh, very much so.
Just the idea of just different dimensions and things like that, but we won't go into it too much because it hasn't been out for too long. But I would say though, Mega, see 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I will.
Don't even think about Cloverfield. It's in a way it's.
I know that much too. They're like very barely linked, is my understanding, if like at all.
Yeah, Paradox tends to tie everything a little bit more, and kind of blends them together a little bit. And I'm curious to see what this supposed fourth one will be.
I'm surprised that there'll be a fourth one, considering Paradox couldn't even get an actual release and had to have its little interesting Netflix release or whatever happened with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think a part of it was, Netflix has been paying a premium on a lot of original content, trying to compete with companies like HBO, and has led to a lot of the changes on what's been available on their content. Like, just for example, a lot of Fox cartoons. I'm a big Family Guy fan, and so Family Guy, American Dad, Futurama have been slowly being pulled out because of, the deals that Netflix has made with their content. They're producing original animated content and things like that. And Fox sees that as a direct competition to their product. And they said, well, taking that out of here. And so, they're doubling down on it. And I think they've also maybe overspent a little bit. I don't know if they bankrupted a couple studios because they couldn't pay back what they spent, but, they're taking big risks to compete with, premium cable. And I think they're doing a great job. And I think the stunt, was from, was more so, I don't know, a good shock factor. Like Netflix needs to get more users. I mean, come on, the majority of the world uses Netflix, I think, at this point. But at the same time, hey, I think it was a cool stunt. It's like, hey, there's this movie, and very much like in an E3 format, it's available right now. And you're like, what?
Best part is, it's available for download
Yeah.
right now. And the crowd goes wild.
And we're just like, what?
Yes.
Leaving. But yeah, I mean, Paradox was fun. It was enjoyable. There's some good performances in it. I love Daniel Bruhl. I loved him since I saw him in Inglourious Bastards for the first time. I think he's a great actor. He gets to show off some good stuff. And I forget this guy. I can't remember his name, and I feel sad about it. But he is an Irish actor. He was in Bridesmaids. He played the cop in it.
Chris O'Dowd.
Yeah. Oh, okay. He was great in
he
in
was.
Paradox. You know, he was very, he did a lot of comedic relief, but also had like some really just good moments, and it was cool to see him in a more serious role, but still kind of get to exercise his comedic abilities as well. And I don't know. I wouldn't poo-poo on maybe seeing Paradox just yet. I don't know if you get kind of bored. I would see Valerian before I would see Paradox if I had to pick.
All right, so I have to do Cloverfield Lane,
Yes.
then Valerian, then Paradox.
Yes, that's
Is
basically
that
saying
our
you're gonna have
ranking of
a
which one's must-watch order.
yeah. So you'll have a steak
Yeah.
dinner, McDonald's, and then I don't know, maybe going to
I'm
Luby's
eating in the
after
back
that.
alley where they have like the day-old donuts that they throw
Just
out.
about, yeah. In terms of story, but for real though, I mean, what I loved about 10 Cloverfield was it. I mean, it reminded me a lot of what I wrote as my short film in when I went back to film school. I was like, dang it, I should have submitted the stupid thing. It was very similar, but I think that's maybe why I loved it so much. It's like this is a more sci-fi version of kind of what I was doing with what mine was. It's more so the turn is very similar, and just this idea of this guy with the bunker and all that stuff. I think maybe that's why it resonated more with me, is because I was trying to create a similar story, but I had to like really cut it back to actually film it. But it's great. It's a great movie. The story's awesome. John Goodman kills in it.
Oh yeah.
And oh my gosh, I'm gonna space out on the girl's name and it makes me sad. Is it Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
Yeah, it's her.
Yes.
Yeah, she is great in it as well. She does a good job, and I hadn't seen her in much aside from Scott Pilgrim that I could recall, and I'm ashamed to say that.
Live Free or Die Hard, obviously. She plays. Lucy
Oh yeah,
McClane
she
in that
plays
movie.
the young
Yes, she
daughter
does.
McClane.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Her best role. Easily.
One of the most underrated superhero movies ever. Oh yeah, that's right. Vanilla Evil. You're correct. Yeah, the new.
Oh yeah.
The Thing
The new The
remake,
Thing.
which
I think it's a prequel.
it
technically.
is. It
Yeah.
is because it ends
Yeah.
with the dog running to the
Yes,
station at
it
the
ends
end.
with the dog running that the first movie starts on.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
okay.
I actually liked that. I liked it a lot.
That movie was cool, but I'm just sad with its special effects story that it has, where they did them all like practical, and then the studio was like, CGI over it, and
Mhm.
they I really want to see it with the cool practical.
I know. It's
effects,
like, can
you
I
know?
I'll pay extra for that cut. I'll pay $40. I might even pay 50 for it. I just want to see it.
Exactly.
Just like I want to see the Edgar Wright Ant-Man. I want that Ant-Man.
Oh
That would've
yeah,
been
I
such-
want to see that Ant-Man.
Ant-Man was like perfectly acceptable, but it could have been amazing.
I know that
if Edgar
honestly, that's
Wright,
probably the
yeah.
one thing that hurts it in my view of it, is because with the casting and some of the dialogue with it, because I think he wrote most of it, if I remember right, and then you could see the sensibilities there, especially if you follow a lot of his work. You could see it, and it's somebody else, which is fine. He did an okay job.
It's just acceptable. It's like it's okay, but
It could have been great. It could have been one of the
Yes.
best ones,
it easily could have been with him
Mm-hmm.
behind the.
especially with his eye for action too. Like,
If only, I don't know, maybe Marvel wasn't as willing to take kind of chances then, like with the director's
Probably.
style.
Mhm.
If
I would
only
not
it
doubt
had
that.
happened a little bit later,
Mhm.
where I feel like we're getting some more style branching out, like you said.
yeah. If only. Maybe one day we'll get lucky. And I agree too. And I think that's what made Miss Magwitch. I agree that's what made The Thing so great, and why it still kind of holds up too. The practical effects kind of sell stuff. And the same with movies like Jurassic Park. Practical
Oh, yeah.
can do so much to extend the, I don't know, perceptual shelf life of a movie. It's to kind of sell those moments for things that aren't real, but to make it feel real. It gives it a sense of existence. I mean,
Even when it looks fake, it still has charm to it.
Yeah.
That, like, makes it endearing. CGI that looks fake as it gets older, it's just like, ugh. Like, that has no charm.
agreed. And it also, too, I mean, an actor can only act to a tennis ball or a green room, or like, look over there, this is what's here. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, it could be the greatest actors in the world. You can only do so much with your imagination.
Let's test it, Cap. Turn around, look at the green screen, all right? And let's have a real good scene right now. Give me some emotion. I want you to play off of the green screen.
I am emoting. For those that aren't watching,
Change what's behind him,
I don't
please.
know what to do with my hands.
There's
I'm
a
watching
key.
the
There must be
prequels
a lock.
right in front of me. It's beautiful.
Yes. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I liked the thing, and honestly, this is on a different tangent too, and kind of a shameless plug for something that's not me, but something that I like. There's a print company down in Austin. They're called Mondo. They do a lot of screen prints and things like that, but they put out a Thing board game. It's based off John Carpenter's The Thing, called Outpost 31. And it looks amazing, and I really want to play it. So if you're into board games and you're looking for a fun game to play, Outpost 31 is kind of baller. And I got to see it at San Diego Comic-Con last year, and the art just on it looks sweet. So anyway, if you like The Thing and you want to play a board game, that would be a good one to do some drinking games with friends. It's kind of like Reverse Clue. Somebody's infected, and you're trying to figure out who it is, and if they make it onto the plane or infect other people, then they win. Or if you guys kill the infected, then that's kind of like the meta mini game.
My favorite thing about The Thing, and it's a really nostalgic movie to me because my roommates in college and I used to like watch it and joke about it a lot. It's always like, that there's somebody infected, and people are always like, hey, can you come into this room with just me real quick?
Yeah,
and
it's like
we would all the time in college, like we would just like give each other like kind of a dead stare and be like, hey, can you come help me with the laundry? And just like just try to like lure somebody down for a Thing transformation. So goofy. I love that. I love everything about that movie.
So good. So good. Well, it's been a lot of good stuff everybody's been watching. So if you guys have not seen Logan Lucky, we're going to do what we've kind of been doing for the past few shows. I'll show you guys the trailer, bit of a refresher to kind of prime you for the discussion. So without further ado, go and get this ready to go.
Jimmy, I'm just gonna say it. I gotta let you go.
You were just fired.
I was let go for liability reasons involving insurance.
The one-armed bartender.
You need to show a little respect. Charlotte Motor Speedway. I know how they move the money.
The only guy who knows anything about blowing up real bank vaults is Joe Bang.
I am incarcerated.
Yeah, we got a plan to get you out.
The Coca-Cola 600 is the biggest race of the year.
We need a computer whiz.
I know everything there is to know about computers, okay? All the Twitters, I know them.
Welcome to the Coca-Cola 600.
Now, how many yards away is the vault?
20 yards. I don't know, maybe 30.
Is it 20 or is it 30? We are dealing with science here.
They're gonna know what we want them to know.
My life of crime is over.
That is massively stupid.
It's been handled.
Oh, this is gonna be good.
That looks like it hurt.
I want everything on Jimmy Logan.
I'm about to get naked. So no bacon. I said no bacon.
You Logans mustn't be as simple-minded as people say.
People say that.
Would you give me my arm, please?
Is it this one?
right, dudes, that was the trailer for Logan Lucky. That is this month's selection for AV Club. Crap. I gotta move this over here. And then bring you guys back. Ha! Science. It's the best. About to get naked. So no peeking. So many good one-liners in this movie. It is directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Rebecca Blunt, stars Channing Tatum, Adam Driver, Daniel Craig, Katie Holmes, and Rebecca Kuhn, Riley Keough, and Jim O'Hare. And it is a very fun movie. Very, very similar to the Ocean's movies. Kind of the plot summary here from IMDb. When Jimmy Logan gets fired, he convinces his brother Clyde and his sister Melly to help him rob the Charlotte Motor Speedway during a NASCAR race. But they'll need the help of Joe Bang, a convicted safecracker who is currently doing time. All they have to do is break Joe out, blow the racetrack vault, and get away with cash, return Joe to prison, and get Jimmy to his daughter's beauty pageant on time. What could possibly go wrong, even with the Logan family curse? Guys, I personally enjoyed the heck out of this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, and one of those where it felt just like a fun heist movie. You know, you're not going to get like Oscar quality, like amazingness, but I don't know how you could not enjoy yourself with Logan Lucky. But Mega turned me on to checking this one out when he mentioned it back in December when we were talking about Gremlins. And I just kind of had it in the back of my mind and saw that it was coming to Prime and said, you know what? I need to see this movie. And I saw the trailer for it. I'm like, I want to do this for AV Club. This looks like it's too fun. So, Mega, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on Logan Lucky, since you kind of got me excited to check it out.
He just asked me a question. There we go. He's not
Can you repeat the question?
No. He asked for my thoughts on it, but I was listening to the stream. Luckily.
Oh shoot, my bad. I'm sorry. I had myself muted in here.
It mutes you too on Discord. It's silly, but yeah.
Oh, that's goofy. My bad.
It is goofy. No,
so yeah, your thoughts on it.
My thoughts on Logan Lucky. I really enjoy Logan Lucky, even if I don't think it's a perfect movie. I don't think it's as good as it could be, but I think it's a ton of fun at the same time. It's got A+ characters in it. Its world is great. It's one of those great, like, you come into it in the middle. I feel like there's a lot of noise in my apartment right now. Sorry.
It's all right.
Though you come into the world like in the middle of it, and it just feels like so lived in, but you immediately understand everybody's like place in the world right away, which is a fantastic thing to do in a movie. It's definitely influenced by its Ocean's 11 predecessors.
Right, yeah. You could definitely see that with Soderbergh, like almost kind of like going back to the well a little bit, but in a way kind of building on it as well.
I'm fine with it because the Ocean's 11 movies are some of my favorite movies, like period. So I have no qualms with him going back to the well, so to speak. But it does bring up the comparisons to Oceans naturally, and you can see some spots where Oceans does it a little bit better than Logan Lucky does in terms of the I don't know, the heist feel.
Yeah,
you know,
and
like,
some of it makes you wonder: is that on the story? Is that because on the Ocean side we had George Clooney and Brad Pitt and a much more like experienced, not really experienced cast, but I don't know, just a different caliber of actors. I mean, Channing Tatum I think is a great actor and is pretty fun, and he's done well with comedy, with like 21 and 22 Jump Street, and has worked with Soderbergh and Magic Mike as well, so they've been together before, but I feel like there's like a slight caliber difference with the execution of the heist, maybe a little bit in terms of just the going through it, just going into the heist and the execution of it.
It doesn't have that same like wow factor of the Ocean's 11 movies, and I think one of the biggest shortcomings is that not everybody involved in the heist feels like they have a really necessary role to the heist, the way that Ocean's, like, everything feels perfectly meticulously planned. Every single person has a thing that they have to be doing, like, which you can't exactly get that with the redneck vibe that they're going for, you know, but it would have been great if it still felt like everybody on the team had a role that they filled on the team, like, really strongly, you know?
Right.
Like, basically it feels like you needed Channing Tatum and Joe Bang, and they could have, like, done the heist on their own for the most part, like the big portion of the heist.
Right. But like kind of in the end though, I feel like it's almost they're like, oh crap, we forgot. Yeah. All this really cool stuff where things were kind of like had a good through line and someone was paying attention and there was like a big master plan. Yeah, that was happening. We just didn't want to show you until the end. I think was maybe one of the bigger I think the main mistake of the film. You know, why not clue us in a little bit more with Jimmy or Channing Tatum's character? You know,
it feels easier to piece it together in Ocean's 11, like the first one, like where what every element was. Like when they're revealing things, you're like, oh, that's what that was, and like you really, it all is like coming together. You're like, oh yeah, I do remember that they had like the vault thing that they made in that movie. You know, like it all is coming together. It's not quite as good in this movie, but
yeah, it's like,
still a great movie.
Yeah, you could tell that they wanted to hit that, but in a different setting and with a different kind of people in a just different part of the world, instead of, you know, very high roller Las Vegas or in Europe like in the other Ocean's films, but more like, you know, in West Virginia or, you know, kind of in coal mining country, you know, a very different class of the world, or just a very what would be the opposite of high roller? Probably living in rural America, you know, very different worlds. And so I think they wanted to still achieve the complexity of a heist, but just in that kind of a setting. But I agree. It's one of those where I don't think there was enough hints or little nuggets given to us as a viewer to be able to make the through line at the end. Like, I almost wanted to rewatch the last 45 minutes just to kind of give it one more shot to, like, you know, connect all the dots for me. Because for the most part, I was keeping it up because it's almost started to happen really, really fast at the end. It was a real slow build and then went from like 45 to 80 in terms of speed from, you know, here's everything. And then, oh yeah, like, you know, they were doing this, he was doing this, they weren't told this person was told this, but really this was happening as well. I'm being a little cryptic because I don't want to spoil it too much just yet until we kind of get everybody's thoughts.
Yeah.
But I still thought it was a cool heist. I liked the idea and how things continued to go wrong. And I thought that was kind of fun as well. The list on his fridge on how to do a heist. You know, it starts to slowly hit it as the movie goes wrong. Like, you know, crap will go wrong. And I think that happens like a second time on the list. Like the things get worse and it's like, you should probably walk away. And he's like, we're going to go for it. And he's like, he's breaking his own rules like about midway through the movie. But then you find out he really wasn't. He was just thinking that much more ahead. But Jonesy, what'd you think? What'd you think of Logan Lucky?
I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite character was Adam Driver's character too.
Yes. Best accent in the movie.
I just that, and I think it was because I kind of like or not really related because it wasn't that much of a really close experience of what his character had and what I had as far as military, but being able to go like, okay, veteran, that's kind of what I like latched onto. So it was kind of fun to see that and just see it wasn't like the typical veteran where it was like either homeless or they were like really this big bad scary dude that just did a bunch of security and saved the world kind of thing. So it was like kind of a nice like little middle ground that I actually enjoyed. So, but like overall, and knowing who the director was, like I feel like I should have been like, okay, I know it's gonna happen. Like I know there's gonna be something crazy. Like it just can't be. And I still was like,
right.
Well, all right, that's how they did that kind of a thing. So, but it was really enjoyable. I liked it. It was a lot of keep up with as far as like every time someone came on screen and like who that person was in relation to someone else and
Yeah.
kind of like why are they important, because there was a lot of like random extra characters, I guess, that weren't involved, as opposed where you had Ocean's 11 where you had everybody involved and then like the one or two people that weren't involved but they were important to how the story went and how everybody, you know, played a part into the actual heist. So
Right. Yeah, and I kind of agree with what Jitney was saying as well. Kind of, we talked about this, I think, on Friday's stream, but the parallel with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" You know, the kind of just the, you know, these what appear to be dim-witted and pretty stupid people are actually quite smart, but come across as simple the way that they're presented. And I think that was a very cool thing. And I agree. Driver was totally channeling Delmar from "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" This just like really like slow to move, slow to talk guy, but is actually quite sharp, but just isn't given really the proper thought because like, he's slow, he's dumb. When really it's like he's one of the smartest guys in the room. They're just not giving him the credit. And yeah, I totally forgot. Yeah, the parallel with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Just in terms of just the structure and the world building and just kind of the window that you're, you know, getting into. Maybe not like a true window into West Virginia culture, but, you know, just the idea of just country life, you know, and rural life. It's different. There's different rules and people just kind of behave a little bit differently. And I thought it was fun. I liked Adam Driver's character a bunch, especially because he's like, my life of crime is over. And it's like, you were in juvie for 6 months. You didn't do time. He's like, I'm not getting that time back, Jimmy.
Oh man. One of my favorite scenes was just his character, like when you first get like that big real introduction to who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I will say they actually played that scene pretty well. And I just actually kind of got mad as well with how that scene played out in the bar, of how he's like insulting Adam Driver's character because of the whole, and I was like, no, you don't do that.
Oh, you're talking about Seth MacFarlane's character, the owner of the energy drink company?
Yeah. And just like, I was just like, this dude is such a jerk.
He is.
Like,
he treated him like
punch
garbage.
Perfect. They made us hate him like we were supposed to, right?
I know.
Right.
And like I said, it was just kind of more of like, because I had that attachment to the veteran side of it, which it's kind of weird because, you know, and with Adam Driver actually being a veteran himself, like in real life, so you have even more of that deeper connection. So I think it fit him really well. And then the whole scene in the parking lot with the fire in the car, it just really,
I loved the brick. Like he's just going out there. He just takes the whole bottle of either vodka or tequila or something. And talking to the drunk outside. Just picks up the brick, just boom, just koosh, and just sits there, tosses the liquor. Oh, it's so great.
That's a great
love it.
Character building moment between the two brothers and their relationship too, that they're just kind of like, they wordlessly like know exactly like what's going to happen between each other, you know, like he just goes out there all casually. He's like, I know I'm gonna have to set this van on fire. Like it's like that's what's gonna have to happen.
I know Jimmy's gonna get in a fight and we need to get him out. I love that too. I agree. It's a great subtle bit of world building between these two guys and their history together. Like, these guys have gotten in trouble.
You can tell how close they are as brothers immediately, and that they work well together.
Yeah, especially since they were having like the whole like, I don't really want to call it like an argument, but you know, his character was sitting there saying the same old story about the family curse, and he was just like going, "Shut up! I don't want to hear about that." Like they had their little disagreement kind of beforehand, before all of that built up, and it just didn't matter because they were just there for each other. So it was really good.
Zombie, your perspective on Logan Lucky.
So I mean, I loved it because I'm a huge fan of the Ocean's movies. It's funny because my husband is literally watching Ocean's 12 in our living room as we speak. For me, one of the scenes that really got me was the first time we see Jimmy and his daughter, when Jimmy's working on the truck and she's handing him tools, because I'm like, okay, that's my childhood right there. My dad's working on something and I'm handing him tools. And I sounded a lot like that little girl when I was that age. I have since grown out of my Southern accent. But, that was what really attached me to Jimmy, I think, because he really just wanted to take care of his kid and wanted to spend time with her. And like, my dad worked a lot when I was young, and so I didn't see him that often. And when I did, it was usually at his shop helping him work on something. So for me, that scene really is what resonated with me. I mean, it's early in the movie, but I was like,
I think
okay.
it's the opening of the movie.
Yeah, I was like, but that really just got me, I guess, where, Jones identified with Adam Driver's character, and I'm like, well, I get where Jimmy's coming from, where Channing Tatum's character is coming from. But I absolutely loved it, and I don't think I've laughed at anything Daniel Craig has done as much as I laughed at Logan Lucky.
No,
He
that was so
top-notch
fantastic.
in the movie.
I mean, when he shows up with just that bleached hair, man. Oh
It
my
killed me.
gosh. It's so awesome.
His accent, actually. his American
it's
accent
so
is what got
good.
me.
He did so good. Because, I've seen him as James Bond. I love him as James Bond. And then to see this, and it's just, oh my God, I laughed so hard.
Yeah, and it's totally unexpected because we are so used to him being like the cool, awesome dude that is just so suave and just epic and amazing. And then it's like, yeah, he can blow stuff up, but he's kind of a bumpkin in this one. It's just, it's so unexpected, and you don't
He's
really
not
realize
effortlessly cool.
Yeah, and you don't realize it until he
No.
starts to talk, and you're like, oh my gosh. And I loved when in the tube when they're starting to figure out, okay, when he gets all the props together for the bomb, and he's like, oh, it's about how long is this tube to the vault? It's like, oh, it's about 20, 30 yards. He's like, is it 20 or is it 30? We're dealing with science here. And it's just, and then he like full on like writes out the formula, and he's like, this is why this has to be accurate. And it's just this weird hodgepodge of a very intelligent bank robber and like a dude that is from the hills. And it's like, what's going on? It's so bizarre.
If I can go back to one thing that Zombi's point, her initial point of the father-daughter relationship, I want to say that's probably the thing in this movie that is better than Ocean's in my mind. And that's like the emotional connection in it. Like this movie will give you feels more than Ocean's 11 or any of the Ocean's movies will.
And if it doesn't, you need to check your pulse.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so much more of like this personal family bond, in there that is very easy to connect with, and you care about all of them, and you want him to have money for his daughter, and you want him to make it to his daughter's recital, or your classic movie trope, but they handle it really well.
Yeah, and you don't want to see him miss it. You want him to make it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and it's so good.
I kept going, did you get the arm? Did you get the arm? Did you get the arm? When did you get it?
Okay, question. So this was the one thing that was kind of bugging me at the end of the movie with Hilary Swank's character, which I thought Hilary Swank was great in this film too. I wanted more. I wanted more Hilary Swank and just the chase. I feel like she almost entered maybe a little too late. Like
I feel like it's supposed to be set up for a sequel that's never going to happen.
I know, which kind of bummed me out.
If this is the only one,
bit.
then it feels like she came in too late.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I hope for, is that maybe it'll be something that comes later. Fingers freaking crossed.
Because that whole scene at the bar at the end when she comes in, she's trying to be like, well, she has her suspicions about everybody in there. But
she's like, I'll be staying a while, and
and you're just like, well, okay, is that it? That's all you're here for? All right, cool.
But the thing for me, the one thing that I don't know, you guys can maybe help me out on this one. As the show is closing out and we're pulling out, and you see the arm at the bar with a beer in the arm, is that supposed to give a wink and a nod that Hilary Swank put the arm there to kind of bust him, or did they actually get the arm out of
I think they show Channing Tatum get the arm out of the machine when it's doing the
when
like
he's
the
showing
big
you how he got the
explanation
bags.
bit. Yeah, I think it shows him throw it in a bag. So I think that's just like their like cheers, we did it. Like that's their little trophy from the heist.
I don't think the arm actually made it all the way to the vault. I think it was like stuck in the machine somewhere.
Got it. Oh, okay, because that was the one thing that confused me a little bit. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to rewatch the ending a little bit, because as I was saying, it was happening so fast at the end. I almost had a harder time keeping up with everything that was being pieced together, and I just didn't want to, figure that or miss that out.
That's why I was really glad when you picked the movie, actually, because I wanted to rewatch like the ending, because I'd only seen it in theaters, and I was like, all right, I want to like follow everything to kind of understand a little bit better. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, a lot of people in chat are saying, he got the arm, he got it out of the vacuum. Okay, guys.
We got it.
We got it. I got it.
Got it. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Yes. But I liked the just kind of like how things kind of wrap up. It is almost a little too sweet and a little bit tropey. Dad makes it to the thing, everybody gets the money, and everybody gets their bit.
They all do one giant sing along.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was kind of cool with how that wrapped up. Daniel Craig, didn't get his share, but he got his nest egg back, and I was like, that's kind of a cool payment. And I loved it when they visited him in prison and just trying to get him to, be cool with doing the heist. And they're like, hey, so, I'm like, well, I got a little nest egg. I don't need to do this. And like, well, she ran off with some truck driver, went down to Florida. Which part of Florida? Florida? Just like Coral Springs. It's like, damn it. He's like, the fact that they had enough details, they're like, well, that probably did happen. Well, when did we start? I loved that. I loved it because he was like, almost didn't believe him. Like, did she really take it all? It's like, yeah, she did. And I love it. And like, you hear the little knock on his window, and it's a big red shovel on his porch, and he goes and digs it out. I liked that. I thought it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree.
Just little sweet things like that. Yeah, that I like. But how have we not? If we're talking about funny moments, how are we not talking about the scene that is the funniest in its current time, but will date this movie immediately, like for future generations, and that's the Game of Thrones scene in the prison where the prisoners
my god,
when they're asking during the
latest
riot.
book,
We're like, where's the book? No, man, that guy from county said that this and this happened with the hot chick. Like, the book isn't even out yet. It's like, whatever.
I'm reading the Wikipedia. It says that he had to push back. Like, that was so cool.
They're going off the TV show and not like the books.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, we know what happens. Give us the book.
I love just the whole
writers
riot.
were clearly just venting their frustration in that scene.
They're
it was perfect.
venting everyone's frustration in that scene.
I love it. The warden is just like absolute denial. Like, no. Like, we got this, it's fine.
I
cool.
loved the warden. He was such an idiot. We don't have fires here. Okay, go ahead and call him. So good.
Oh, that classic, like, he's gonna lose funding or whatever.
He's like, we have a perfect record. Nobody comes to help us. We always have it under control.
And you can obviously tell it's not that, I guess, hardcore of a prison, or they just kind of made things lighter for the film, where everybody's kind of like working together and really nice, and they're all like, no one really hates anybody.
They're just all good country folk. That's the whole movie. Everybody's good country folk.
And I love how the sister
British
too.
Man.
Yeah, the sister just goes along with everything too. She's like, all right, it's whatever. We'll do it. I'll totally,
I liked her.
some stuff in. Yeah, she was really funny too.
I liked her.
And I forget the name of the haircut place, but it's like, gosh, that's such a country place. It's so bad. It was like it was such a play on words of just haircuts. It was so bad. I can't remember it, so it's not that funny.
Great story.
Great story. I know. Oh, and I kind of wish I had.
Cool story, bro.
I know, cool story, bro. But I kind of wanted more with Sebastian Stan.
Oh,
as the race car driver.
Anything where I can get more Sebastian Stan is good.
I loved his character, where it's like,
yeah, he was great.
Hey, he's like, I loved how he's like, I treat my body like a computer, and my food is my software, and just he's like so like ritualized with it, and then gets pressured into drinking an energy drink and then just passes out.
No, it was the champagne.
Oh, is it champagne? I thought it was an energy drink. Because like
He
the whole thing that they were
chugged a
selling
little
was
bit
energy
of
drink.
champagne, and he blamed that's what he blamed him losing on, was just like drinking a little bit.
I thought he
of
made him drink an energy
I
drink.
thought he was
No, 'cause
making them
Seth-
drink their product.
Yeah, I thought so
No,
too.
Yeah, I thought so too.
It was the champagne, because Seth MacFarlane was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a few bottles. We're gonna pop them open before the race, and we'll pop them open after." And he handed him the bottle.
Okay.
It was definitely a champagne-looking bottle, but I thought maybe it was like some sort of weird alcoholic version of their drink or something.
That's what I thought too. That's why I thought like it
he was
totally
all
just
about
killed
how
him.
it was like
Champagne.
the sponsorship, so he had to drink it. I thought was the
I
thing.
I could be wrong, but it was. I definitely remember a champagne bottle, because it was like
Mhm. Yeah, I
he
remember the
had
bottle
to
for sure.
lift it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he basically blamed it all on him, or
Mhm.
blamed that, like him losing on that. So it was kind of.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I think one of my only complaints with the movie, like not getting more of characters like that, it mostly falls on marketing, because it was so Ocean's 11 style in its marketing that I expected everybody to like be in it more, you know, like I thought Seth MacFarlane would be in it more. I thought
Yeah.
we'd get more Sebastian than we did.
Yeah,
but,
we
like,
barely got anything of Sebastian.
I know, like right when we were watching it, I was doing like a movie night with Stream, like on Rabbit.
Yeah.
People are like, "Is that the Winter Soldier? Is that Bucky?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Like I forgot he was even in this." Like,
Yeah.
like, it totally slipped my mind because
Yeah.
he just didn't stand out the first time I saw it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was fun though. I liked all the different characters that we had, but I agree. I felt like there was just a very odd distribution of time with a pretty solid cast. I mean, it was a very well cast film, but not what you would expect from like going in expecting an Ocean style movie where you're going to get pretty equal pie slices of everybody being a part of it, whether they're the bad guy or the good guy or the people that you're rooting for or not. And you didn't really have that as much with this time, but at the same time, I don't think it would have made the movie a little bit better, but I don't think it totally kills it either. But I think it sets it up. Maybe they were banking on it, you know, being a building
Another
on
like
it.
trilogy type thing.
Yeah, or at least like
Something,
another
yeah.
sequel. Well, maybe we'll get more of Sebastian Stan going forward
I
or
would
something.
love it if there's a sequel to this movie. I think this movie has rich potential for a sequel. More
Agreed.
so than the Ocean's movies, because it's more set up for a sequel even than the Ocean's movies were. So.
Exactly. Totally teed up for it. But it's one of those things, how well did it do? Did it do well enough to warrant it?
My understanding is it did not do particularly well. Like I feel like it's one of those like break even kind of movies. Not like it wasn't a total failure, but not like big enough that it's guaranteed that we get a sequel. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We shall see.
Oh, one thing, another comparison to Oceans that I feel like I have to talk about is like music in the movie. Rewatching it, there was a lot of silence in the movie, like in the scenes. I felt like, which I kind of liked because it kind of fit with the slow, dull style of speech that they had. It was like
doing everything on country time. It'll happen
like
when it
just
happens.
moving at its own pace, but that is like the element of the Ocean's movies that'll stick with you forever. Is the music is so on point that it was like it's an interesting choice to have so little music in this movie in comparison.
Yeah,
Sparse.
It's almost like Soderbergh maybe realized that maybe I overused score too much in my films and relied on it too much for, you know, the transitional scenes or like your series montage of shots as things kind of happen, and maybe more trying to play on the actual activity a little bit more and not so much on how cool this activity is or like how cool this piece of tech is or how they're gonna pull it off. So, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
The
I think
music
it
was
was just a
solid.
little bit more underlined than it was. So like the music didn't drive it as much as like it would have in Oceans. So it was just kind of more. Did play more of the background as opposed to here it is. We're gonna fill up sound and we're gonna use it to make points and drive the story forward.
Yeah.
Everything, which I think worked more for Logan Lucky than they would have done it for Oceans. It kind of would have been a little bit more awkward because it's a little bit
have
more.
a bunch of Vegas dudes.
Yeah,
no,
like
no
you're
music.
going
Yeah.
Yeah.
doing this heist in Vegas where there's lights and sounds and music and so much activity that silence would just be so unnerving, I think.
Yeah, it's like silence doesn't exist in Vegas. It's loud all the time. The only silence you have is on the flight out or the bus ride out, depending on how well you did.
And I can definitely say that in the countryside, you're gonna have a lot more silence.
Yeah, I've spent some time in the country. My wife's family's got some relatives and stuff that kind of live out in the boonies, and it is quite quiet in a good way. But when you transition back to even like being in the suburbs, you don't realize how loud it is until you get out there. And I think they kind of nailed a lot of the parts that are like that, you know, the country and things like that, and just kind of the way people are, and you know what would be a stereotype of, you know, small town America. I think he hit it just right. You know, if anyone has spent any time out there, I mean, Zombie, it sounds like you're pretty familiar with that.
I'm pretty sure I know everybody that was in that movie character-wise.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
That's how you know it's a great movie, though.
Yeah, it's like
I'm
I know this
pretty
person.
sure I know all of those people. I'm probably related to some of them.
I hope you're related to Joe Bang.
Oh, please say you're related to Joe
No,
Bang.
you don't I don't have a guy who's like been in, but we have people like that in my family. I'm like legitimately.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, overall though, I could say like I think we all pretty much enjoyed Logan Lucky and would recommend it to everybody else, right? Safe to say.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's an enjoyable movie for sure.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Good deal. Well, guys, I think that's going to kind of start to close us down a little bit. But before we go, if you guys would like to tune into previous episodes or check us out, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play. You can also find us too on YouTube as well as Twitch. You can find us in a VODs collection here on our Twitch page. But you can also find these wonderful people on the internet as well. Mega, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at twitch.tv/MegaMagwitch and twitter.com/MegaMagwitch, where you can see me tweet baby pictures probably a lot when this kid's born this week. That'll probably be it. That's all I'm going to do from now on.
That's all your stream's going to be, just baby pictures. Just a slideshow, nothing else.
Yes.
Jonesy, where can we find you on the internet?
God, I wish nowhere.
If you want to be found.
If I want, mostly Twitter. Actually, only Twitter. Lizzie Lee Rose. Yes, Lizzie Lee Rose. Which is also the same as my Instagram, but I'm really boring, so.
And Zombie, where can we find you on the internet?
I'm gonna put mine in chat because it's really hard for me to say, and most people don't know what I'm saying when I say it. And it's my Twitter. But like, people don't always get Sherlockian Liza, and they don't understand what I'm saying. So I put it in the chat, and that's my Twitter, and that's where you can find me. It's the only place I do things these days.
Sounds good. And we'll put everybody's links and stuff in the show notes as well. So if you'd like to find them, check out their content or give them a follow or, you know, interact with them, make some friends. You can find them there. And again, if you are enjoying this show, please subscribe to it, like it, share with people that you think would enjoy it. And if you have any feedback, please leave us a review. It would definitely help us out a lot. And if you have any other feedback you'd like to leave or send me some feedback, you can send me an email at captainmcflytv@gmail.com. This is a monthly podcast that we do. Our next movie will be announced next week, pretty soon. March should be coming up this Thursday? Yes, this Thursday. So I'm going to be taking a look at what's coming and going and see what's coming to Netflix and coming to Amazon. And we'll make a pick, and I will announce it on Twitter. So you can find me on Twitter at Captain McFly TV. And you can tune in again next time here at Captain McFly instead of with a L, it's a 1 because I was stupid when I made my channel name. But I've kind of learned to enjoy it. But again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of AV Club. And we will see you guys next month. Peace out.